So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream recorded for ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. It's not the best quality because it's uploaded directly from Ustream, so it's not HD. So apologies, it's poor quality. Apologies for the sound quality and also for the camera quality because it's obviously not going to be very good. So I'll zoom in and see if we can give a bit of sharpness to that. So I thought I'd work on the dragonfly. And so I'm using the Peerless out of my little colour book, and I'm using the number 1 Derwent watercolour brush. So it's a bit wet, but I've got some kitchen roll handy because I don't like to go through my book. So we'll put that there and we'll get rid of that. Oh, thank you, Melody. Thank you. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. On this impromptu, I have no idea what day it is. It must be Sunday, is it, I think. So we pick some vibrant colours to colour this dragonfly. Because it's make-believe. It's a bit wet, is this? I don't like it. It's too wet, really. You can't get that nice effect, but keep going until we get no colour at all. And then we're not wasting any. So there's some quite vibrant colours on these Peerless set. It's a set of 36. No, it isn't. I think it's a set of 45. And they're very vibrant, and I think they were made in the 1880s, and they were devised for colouring black and white photographs, for tinting photographs. I don't think you can buy them in the UK, Emma. I think you send off for them, and it's in America somewhere. Somebody found them in the basement, I think, if I remember rightly. But they're called Peerless. I used to carry the card around with me, but I've lost it. If you type in Peerless watercolors, you'll come to the website. And I think somebody bought the house and found the colour tints in the basement, if I remember rightly. But I think it's an ink. I don't think it's a watercolour. But I don't know if they're called watercolours. But it's kind of an inky. But they do obviously react just like a watercolour. But they're extremely vibrant and they're fantastic. And I've got them, and I love the geranium pink. I've got them in my little book of watercolours because they are so fantastic. It's such a long time ago since I've had them out to play with. I've forgotten about them. But they're quite fantastic. But if you type them in, you'll come to them. So they have some really nice pinks and reds, and extremely vivid pinks. Although it's a red, I would think that's a pink. Fantastic colours. and wonderful for colouring in as well. Very vibrant. And there's one called Brilliant Yellow, but you've got to do a colour swatch because they don't look anything like what you see. They're a bit like ink tents that way, so that's a bright yellow, but you wouldn't think it. But this Brilliant Yellow is quite, it looks orange, but it's very vibrant. Vibrant yellow. But as I say, I think they were originally intended for tinting photographs. Oops, I've got that muddy now. Very, very vibrant and very easy to use if you're out and about. You've got a couple of millimeters here, and yes, maybe half an inch, quarter of an inch. There is the full set here. There's lots of greys and there's quite a few sepia colours because obviously photographs were used for sepia. Let's see what other purples we have. There's the cobalt blue, which is almost a purple. And then we have this gorgeous colour. So there's some really nice, very bright colours, perfect for colour books, and they come in a bigger sheet than this. The sheets are a lot bigger than this, but I've cut mine down. Two reasons. Oops, it's amethyst I use. One is that I didn't want them all in my book, and I didn't know how long they'd last, but I don't normally use them like this. I normally mix and match, but they are quite nice. And then of course the sky blue colour is just amazing. So they're perfect for some really bright, vibrant, unrealistic colours. If you want to get away from reality and do some kind of vibrant colours. They're very, very bright. So they're perfect for there's a turquoise here as well. I think I'm just going to go back in there with cobalt blue and put that cobalt blue in there. And I think we're going to have I do like the tea rose red. It's really, really vibrant. And I only used one colour when I did the horse. I'll let that dry a minute or two. So we've got the purple things. Now I could switch to something else and use my Derwent pencils. I might stay with these. I think I haven't used them for a long time. So there's an olive colour there which is quite nice. It's a grass green. Quite like the olive colour. So we can kind of take this up. Fairly quick as well. Like working quite quickly. Different books make you use different colours, and of course the water brush makes this so much easier. And if you're very quick and you keep your brush quite dry, this Derwent one is actually okay for colour books. Some of them are too wet, but this particular one is okay if you work fairly quickly and you don't press too much on the brush itself. It will give you a nice effect. It's not quite a watercolour effect. Hi there, Bookworm, welcome to Bonnie's Designs. Anybody else popping in? It's a bit of a strange day today because the girls are home, but I wanted to have a bit of a play. So I've broken out the watercolours in the little colour book, these Peerless. And again, they are perfect for colour books because you don't need to use much. So Tight Yorkshire Lass, I quite like that. And if you use them kind of pale as well, then you get the best of both worlds. So you can just about get a watercolour effect, or kind of maybe I'd say slightly different. So I'm going to do all of them because I'll forget what colour. So I'll switch across a bit, and I'm going to use the olive green. So if you work fairly quickly and not press too hard, your water brush doesn't get too flooded. Sorry, that was a moan. It wasn't a bark, it was a moan. I don't know why it was a moan. Oh, bless. Suzanne's not here today. You're not going that way. Oh, you nearly had an Alfie cam then. He looks so cute with his puppy ears. He's got little girl ears now because my daughter scalped him because he was too hot. And of course now we don't have the heat wave now. It's got quite chilly. But he got really warm, so he got very warm. So my daughter scalped him. Or I should say scissored. You can't use electric clippers near him, so we have to sit with scissors and snip. And he's quite happy to do that. But he always looks a state when it's been done. And she always cuts little girl ears, I don't know why. So he looks like a little girl now, it doesn't look like an Alfie. So he's got little girl ears. So this is another really easy, simple, quick way to work. And this is what I did in hospital because it's so much easier. And with a water brush you don't need any wet. And I've got hundreds and hundreds of colours, so I just kind of flip. At the moment I'm just using one colour, but And I got this idea when I was in hospital with hubby, just playing about with the driest brush I could find, which happened to be, and it is, because I've looked for other ones. If your brushes go kind of old and yucky and kind of gung up a bit, then actually they work quite well in a colour book because they don't let the water flow out. But I like this little fine number 1 brush from Derwent. It seems to be the slowest when it comes to releasing releasing water. And some colour books got to be a bit careful with, but this one I think is just about okay. I don't think I've got any more olive anywhere. Not sure about the brown. Let me have a look for sepia. I've got a warm sepia. Let's have a look at this colour, see what this does. Just again, picking a colour. And because these are made up, you don't have to think about particular bark colours. I mean, you can do them purple, you don't have to do them brown. I just like to do my stems brown. Anybody got any questions? So thanks for joining me, guys. This is a live stream from ustream.tv. Live people having a natter. So I quite like those colours, they're kind of nice. And you don't need a water pot, so that's quite good. And you don't need a palette because you've got all the colours there right in front of you. And this brush will keep giving out colour. And I like that because it'll just keep giving its colour until there's nothing. And again, as a tight Yorkshire lass, you're not going to waste a lot. I don't like to see colour on here, really, but you sometimes don't have a choice. So I think they're quite purple and pink, though. So if we do pink with purple edges, I think so. This is actually a purple pink, so we're going to do this here. It turned out to be quite dark. Never mind, it's fine. Oopsie. Again, it's another quick way to work, just manipulating that colour around. Try not to get too wet if possible, because I don't like the fade. I like to be in control of the water and the colour. And if it's slopping about all over, you don't really have that nice control. And actually that's kind of toned that colour down from being kind of quite psychedelic to being bright, but now we've got a muted purple, so that's quite nice. And I did originally think that because I thought the dragonfly fly will stand out more if it's behind kind of dull. A dull background, and you've got this vibrant, beautiful dragonfly. So the Peerless have been out quite a while actually, and I'm using, oh, can't pronounce it, and I don't know how I've written it. Oh, can't. No, it's not called a purple, which is quite a strange thing. So I would think that's going to be like that. I think the full set, I think one was 37. They were a very good price, but if you get them from America you have to pay shipping, so it was nearly as much to ship them, if I remember rightly. But there is, I think, bottles of re-inker of these colours. But then I found the Dr. Martens Hydras, and because they are professional watercolours, I kind of veered off these a bit, but they are still wonderful. But they've been in my colour book quite a long time, quite a few years now. As you can see, they're at the front, so they were the first thing to go into the book. And I did use them, as I say, when hubby was in hospital. Rather than think about anything, I just picked the tea rose colour and a green, and I just coloured in something while I was, again, in a ward. You've got to be a bit careful what you do, but I did need to chill out, so I sat and I did the horse page. And because I had, again, I was rushing, I didn't think what to take with me, so I picked the new Mythomorphia, and I picked my little book of colours up, and I picked this little fine #1 brush and threw them in my handbag. And my daughter took a book with her to read, and we just sat by the bed and waited for hours and hours. But sometimes you can find something else that you'd forgotten. I had completely forgotten about my little book of colours, so that was quite nice to remember. And you, again, fell in love with my little book of colours all over again. I normally take it away with me when I go anywhere because it's so handy. Although my trips are few and far between now. And it's moving about quite well, this colour. And you don't even need a water pot. So again, there's something quite nice about not having to dip your brush and clean your brush every 5 minutes. Now they're a little bit darker than they look on there. But again, they're not so bad. So I suppose they would work quite well. And I do the book of butterflies, I think, in black and white. I think they'd work quite well. So I just finished this one. Exactly the same colour, but when you use it intense it's dark, and when you use it a bit more saturated with water it becomes a soft pink, purple pink. What colour am I going to do the bottoms? Again, I've just got to make sure that you can squeeze the water out now to clean it. Make sure that it's clean, because these are extremely vibrant, these colours. So I do have, I think that geranium pink would be quite nice. There's lots of pinks. There's a red rose, which is a dark pink, but a japonica pink, but geranium pink I think is going to be really, really nice. And it's going to really brighten them up. I think I should have done that yellow, but I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put one of those yellows around the outside. Unless I put a teal colour, but I can't decide. I think a vibrant yellow might be good. Oopsie. I've used this one a lot. It's one of my favourite colours. It's geranium pink. It's so pretty. In fact, I think I might have to make this colour when I make my watercolours up, especially my gouache, because I do know I use this an awful lot. It's a very, very nice pink. So thanks for stopping by on this Sunday afternoon in the UK. I think it's afternoon. I don't actually know what time it is. I lost yesterday, but really nice colours these, and again, that's something that I wouldn't normally do. I'd normally want to paint these the proper colours. So sometimes it's just nice to kind of just open the book and have a play. And there's a rose there, but these are going to be yellow and orange. So let's have a look. Yellow and an orange. So there's some really nice colours in this particular set. There's reds and pinks and purples. Some really nice. There's a chrome orange, which is nice. There's a brilliant yellow. I think that's a different flower, isn't it? I think I might go for brilliant yellow on this one. I'm going to see if I can get a watercolour effect. so it blends out to be almost nothing, but may have got a bit too much on there. Let's have a look. Oh no, it's doing it. How about that then? That's quite pleasant. So the tiniest amount on the end of your brush, not much, and then start dark, and then the water brush does it for you. Now normally water brushes give you too much water, but this one, if you're very careful, and I'm not using all the brush, because if you use all the brush you get more water. And I've never done this before, so again, just the tiniest dot of colour. These are very vibrant, even the yellows, and then you keep it moving and manipulate that round. So actually that's very good and very quick as well. The only thing is you can see that wet, there's a lot of water coming out. Now this particular Daydreams book will take that, but not many will. So dried it off and then just manipulating that around. And the more you kind of rub with it, the more water comes out, so you've got to be very careful. But the good thing is you don't actually waste any. It's very little waste. It's the one on the right. Oh, did I miss a... What did I miss on the right? Did I miss a flower? Petal. So Melody, it was the brilliant yellow. Melody wanted to see this. It's the tiniest little bit. But this is a water brush, and again, it's not really, it's okay on here, and it would probably be alright if you photocopied it. But most of them would be too wet. I think the Kerber Roseannes you're okay with, because I think that's what I used when I did the rose. This is how I did the roses, just kind of, but they weren't as big as this, and I didn't get this watercolour as much effect because, if you can see, it's wet. So again, a bit of colour. And I have dried it first. In theory it should be dry, but just by moving it on that colour, it's activated the water to flow, and that's what the water brush is supposed to do. But of course I don't want to do it. We don't want too much water really. So again, a little bit of colour, and then this water starts to flow, and it does this, which is wonderful. But you couldn't do this on the Bennett Kleins. And so I think they have green middles. I missed one on the right. Let me have a look. That's my right. Probably missed one of these, have I? Oh yes, I've missed one. I've missed them all on the right there. Thank you, Melody. So that was, I'll go back to the pink. So again, I've cleaned all that vibrant yellow off. Geranium pink. Thank you, Melody. I've missed all these little fronds. They're not fronds, these are the dancing ladies bits, aren't they? Right, there we go. And I like the fact that I hadn't actually wasted any. So I think that might be green and that might be an orange. So let's have a look for a green. There's a grass green, but I like this light green here. So what I'm going to do again, the tiniest little dot and then you can see it. You can actually see it there. So if we touch this, yeah, we don't get too much of a watercolor effect, but it's a very pale colour. Oops, a bit too. Again, it goes as soon as you start to wiggle, you manipulate that water out. So we could maybe do a darker one. We'll do a dark green, and we'll start at the bottom. And oh, I don't like that colour. It's too kind of. It's too fake. But you see, I'm getting to this the fake colours now. But this is quite a nice colour. This light green, almost like an apple white, just off white. I quite like that. And then I need an orange in there as well, so I just need a little bit more yellow on it's just not quite yellow enough down there. That's going to be quite dark yellow, and so is that. So it's worked quite well. It hasn't gone through at all, but this is really nice paper. Photocopy paper you would be okay with, but really when it gets this big, it's a bigger space when you get a lot wetter. It's the nature of the brush. You then get there's a chrome orange, looks nice. Cadmium orange looks nice as well. I think I like the chrome orange. Again, just the tiniest touch, and I think we might go down there. And it does make things extremely wet. You can see it glisten. You see it's still wet. That's a long time for wet on a colour page, but we can get away with that. But you wouldn't if it was on a Bennett Klein or if it was on some of the other thinner ones. So I've got yellow there. And so that's really nice, but again it's just that little bit wetter than I'm used to. I can just about do it, but it takes a bit of practice. So you might be better photocopying it first, and it depends on which different brush you've got, but have a play. This is just a play. I just mess about with paintbrushes. This one happens to be quite nice to play with, so that's why I'm using it. So when it's quite easy to do. Sorry, apologies, don't know why he's barking at all, sorry. Oh, just a bit, bear a second. Isn't that Amy? Amy? Nigel? Nigel? Sorry about that. Alfie's decided he wants to sit and bark, don't you? You've been a bad boy. Yeah, We don't have Suzanne today to keep him in check, do we? So, I'll do this one. Oops, that's not the same flower. Right, so I've only got... I'm going to do this one. Can't. And I've got yellow on there now. So I'm going to put yellow in here. Because I can't bear to waste the yellow that I've just got on there. So I think that's rather pale. I cannot believe that, so I'm going to have to waste my colour, and I don't want to do that. I hate wasting colour. And we had the orange chrome, I think, didn't we? Which is quite a nice colour, but it was very, very strong. And green. So this soft green's quite nice. Just takes that colour off. Has anybody got any questions? Oops, wrong green. Yes, well, Alfie's here waiting for his tea. Must be tea time for Alfie too. So thanks everybody for joining me. It looks a bit murky outside, I have to say. It's not a pleasant day in the UK. I think these are kind of like a soft pink. And I don't do pink out to in. I think I'm going to do a pink out to in. But I obviously don't want a bright pink. I think I want like a red. There's a blood red colour. Because what I've done is I've done a scale, so that's the strongest to weakest. So I'm looking kind of down here, and I kind of like, even though it's quite the tea rose, it's quite a nice soft pink. So if I go there where it's not very strong, and that didn't work because the water brush has decided that we're having a stronger one, and it's all the same colour. You missed that. It's because it's too wet. It's decided we're having a strong, instead of having a lovely soft pink in the middle, we're not. We're having it the other way around. But never mind, it's a nice colour. It's pretend. This is a bit better. Oops, again. Sometimes the water brushes. So if a bit of practice, and I probably would have got that slightly better. It's very strong as this red, but I thought if we had that gorgeous kind of pink on the inside and a kind of a reddish smudge on the outside, but again it's a very strong red, but that's quite nice. There is a hint of a bit of a highlight, so if you keep it that way, we need, but then you get too hung up about that and not about just how really pretty those colours are.
Nigel, could I ask you a favour? Could I have one of those vegetable soup sandwiches? Thank you.
So kind of like that. So what I need to do is get a smaller amount of that and drag it in. And the one thing that this water brush does want to do is dilute everything, so I think we might have got there. But I do like that mid-tone, it's quite nice, is that mid-tone. And just the tiniest amount of colour, so your colours go a long way. And again, as a tight Yorkshire lass, I like that. I like to get my colour. And nearly all the colour is going onto the page. You know, I'm taking that almost back to nothing. So again, I like that. I like the fact that every scrap of colour goes on my page and not in the water pot. It's growing on me now. I'm colouring with the Derwent number 1 colour brush. And it's quite fine. There's 3 in the set. There's a kind of a wedge one, and I love this because the tops actually go, my hands are really bad today, on the end. The tops go on the end, and normally on colour bottles they don't, brushes they don't. So we've got 3 in this set. We've got, and they're about £10, but you know that makes them £3 each, £9 something. So you got a number 1, and then we got a number 2 and a number 3. The number 2 is quite a chunky one, and it's the same size as the Caran d'Ache near colour 2. You see, I don't think that goes on the end, does it? Oh, it does go on the end, that one. So that's the near colour Caran d'Ache one with the pump, but I don't push it in because I like to use it dry, but it's still too wet. It's still too wet for me, is that one, for this particular thing. But I will be using this in my big sketchbook with my Neo Arts, my Neo Art bars, from which are basically Neo Colour 2s, but they're like a fat finger. They're very old now. So the number 1 is quite fine, and I'm trying to keep it. I am wasting a bit of paint, but I'm trying to keep it as dry as possible. The tiniest amount of Peerless. This is in my little book of colours. I've got these Peerless watercolours. Thank you. I've got my Peerless watercolours, and I think I'm using, I can't remember what colour I was using now. It wasn't geranium pink, was it? No, it was tea rose. There we go, because I've got a wet spot. And the tea rose is, if I pan out quickly, you can see what I'm doing. And you can also see that actually that's gone quite nice. That the first one was a mistake, but I need, oh, that one, but I got it by there. So tiniest bit goes a long way. Actually, I quite like those colours, and again, it's something that I don't normally do because I use the very vibrant colours, the teals and the gorgeous blues and teals for the dragonfly. It happened by accident when hubby was taken to the hospital by the ambulance. I came home and I fed my daughter, and we knew we were going to be there for a long time and we didn't want to mess about, so I grabbed the Myth Morphia. I grabbed the one brush that I thought would be the least, and it's the one I like, and I grabbed my little book of watercolours because I knew I had hundreds of colours in there to play with. And because we didn't know what was happening and we were all a bit scared, including hubby, I sat and held his hand while he was on the ward, and of course couldn't start getting pots out and things. So I opened this, and I was holding his hand, and I used the little brush, and I had a tissue, and I just kept drying the tissue, and I did this. And I was in the wheelchair by the bed, so I didn't have a lot of room. Sorry, somebody's trying to get in somebody else's bed. And it worked really well, and I used the tea rose, and then I flicked to one of the greens, and I just played about, and it was quite nice and quite therapeutic. And yet I'd fallen in love again with my little book of watercolors, and used a water brush in a colour book, which is something I don't normally do. And that made me fall in love with my little colour book again and the water brushes. But these two books are really good. The Hannah Carlson and the Kirby Roseanne's will quite happily take a dry water brush if you keep drying it on kitchen paper. Now that's the opposite of when I use my riggers, which are already dry. I use those on a baby wipe, which is damp, but you have to dry off a water brush every time. But it seems to work quite well, and you only want the tiniest touch of colour, just the tiniest touch, and these go an awfully long way. As I say, I think they're more of a dye than they are water based, but I'm pretty sure they're more of a dye. They're for tinting photographs, so of course they had to be quite strong. And you can keep a bit of an eye on that water and not get, but you have to dry every time. And the tiniest touch of colour. Oh, I've just gone on the wrong colour, have I? Oh no, that was a tea rose. And because of its nature, it will start to flood quite quickly, and you've got to work quite well because we don't want too much water. What it does make it extremely quick. It makes it extremely quick because you can't really mess about, because the more you mess about, the more water you're going to get, and we really don't want a lot. We don't want a lot of water, but you do get quite a nice watercolour effect, which I didn't expect. I'd forgotten. I do have a memory like a sieve, but I had forgotten that you can get a nice watercolour effect. So I'll zoom back in so you can see exactly what I'm doing. Oh, hi Suzanne, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Your little boy's been naughty. Well, he's not been so bad, but he is doing his usual. Oops, it's actually not here. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. So I'm having a play in the Hannah Carlson's. I keep trying to pick off more colours, more colour pages. I seem to get more books and forget about certain pages. And I haven't. I've got it too dry now. I haven't needed to use my new system, which is I'm making notes on what books I use things, and I don't think I wrote Peerless down. And it's going to be because I might think, oh, I quite like this pink, and I won't remember what it is. So I've devised a way to make a colour book chart, page chart, and it's based on bullet journaling, and it's going in my one book July, so that when I'm colouring I can just put in pencil in the corner a number. And that'll tell me what I've used. So if I'm flicking through this book and I think, oh, I want some nice colours for flowers, most of the time I forget what I'm doing, so this is to remind me. And also sometimes I start a page and I don't always finish it. Brain's gone dead, sorry Suzanne. Sorry. Did I say they were Peerless? I've forgotten the other name for them. It's something Peerless, and I've lost the little postcard that I used to have in there. But if you type in Peerless, and if you look on my little colour book, they were one of the first things I put in there, so I can see the postcard now, and you can get the inks as well, so you can redo them. And I actually might get the inks. But then I found the hydrus, and the hydrus are very well pigmented, and they are also they're also professional watercolors as well. So I think that's what made me forget about these, but they're still wonderful, and they are designed originally in the 1880s for tinting photographs. We only had black and white photographs, and they put colour on the photographs, and they used these tints. That's basically what they are, they're tints. But there's about 44 in a set. There's a sepia set for sepia colour photographs. There's a main set which is smaller, and then there's an extra set which are a bit bigger. And I bought all of them at the same time because with shipping it was worth just buying them all. But I think the shipping was just as much as the actual paints. I think they were only about £14, and then I had to pay quite a lot. I'm not sure, Suzanne. I'm not sure. I get a bit upset about that because I don't think so. But oh, my neck crunched. Lots of people just tend not to talk and just sit and watch, or they're busy. But it's nice for people to say hi, because I must admit I try to do that. Even if I'm busy, I do try to say I'm watching. Although when I saw Patty's thing the other day, I kind of went to pieces, because of course she has a lot. So I was quite surprised to see her name, but I don't think she said hi. It's nice for people to say hi. And if I just go over that one, I've got to highlight that. So we've got a little bit of buds now. We've got one or two little buds, so that's quite nice. And I think I'd like a bit. Nigel, could you shut the door, darling, please? Thank you. No, obviously not. So there we go. You just put that round there. So that's really quick. It's only taken me, I'll have a look in a second how long it's taken me. So thanks for stopping by, everybody. I might just have to stop because obviously it ruins. I don't want any nasty comments again about things going on. So I'll just see what's happening. So I'll just pan out and see how long I've been. There we go. So I've just got some leaves to do, and I've really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed using that. So thanks for watching.